Hey guys, welcome to day 4. Alright, we're going to get started right away with our do now. It's a reflection from yesterday's thinking. Again, the question was, why does little man's face cloud over when he opens the book? Write down what you remember about your answer. Try not to go back and just kind of think about what was happening and why was it important. Remember, we had some figurative language there with the face clouding over. Think about, what does that mean? Remember, that was helping us figure out his feelings. So when it's clouding over, what's he feel? And why? So see if you can answer those two questions without going back. If you need to, go ahead and do so. Pause the video now, answer that question, and then continue playing to listen or to think about our learning target. All right, team, our learning target says, I can identify how a character's actions mirror their traits. I wrote down, remember when we're talking about something mirroring something else, it means it reflects. Just like if you were to look in the mirror, it would reflect your image back at you. So how does what a character does, their actions, reflect or mirror their traits? So the kind of person they are and the actions that they take. So for instance, if somebody is a really, really calm person, their actions probably wouldn't be to like yell and scream a lot because that's not who they are or how they respond to those situations. We're going to independently read pages 27 to 31 today. This is a little bit shorter of a section because we also have some character reflections we're going to do as part of today, and we'll get to that in a minute. At this time, go ahead and read and annotate pages 27 to 31, specifically looking at Mama's reaction. Remember, we just had the incident with the class about Cassie and Little Man not liking the book that they had been given. So think about, why didn't they like it, and how's Mama reacting in this moment? Go ahead and pause the video, silently read and annotate. Remember, you look for is, how's Mama reacting, and how does that reflect what we know about Mama? Once you're finished reading, go ahead and continue the video, and we'll take a look at our CTQ1. All right, team, for our CTQ1, it asks, how does Mama's reaction to the book show she's different from Miss Crocker? So first we need to identify, what is Mama's reaction? So I'm gonna write that down. What is her reaction? And then it asks, how is it different? So remember, when something's different, that's asking us to compare. And what are we comparing it to? Go ahead and annotate that, see if you can get it. We're comparing Mama's reaction to what? Yep, Miss Crocker's reaction. So we need to figure out what was her reaction. So we're going to go back in the text and double check our annotations for that. So how does Mama react? How does Miss Crocker react? And how does Mama's reaction show she's different from Miss Crocker? So let's take a look. Going back to 27. Okay, it's still talking just about Cassie and trying to get to Mama before Miss Crocker does. I can kind of relate to that. I did that once or twice as a child. Then it's, oh, okay, so here's Mama getting the book. Mary is Mama. If you were feeling confused by that at all. It says Mama doesn't speak as she studied the book, so she's not speaking. There's an action. And then it says Miss Crocker sets it down with an outrage slam. She calls it a tantrum. So this shows us that Miss Crocker is feeling angry about it. We already kind of got that from the previous pages. Talking about how Little Man's a gentleman, so that means he's kind of respectful. Then we see some of Cassie's actions when it's talking about the offensive pages of both books. So Cassie's opinion is that the book is offensive. And then Mama responds, she says, you say that Cassie said it was because of this front page that she and Little Man didn't want the books. Remember, the front page is shown to us on page 25, so I went ahead and added that annotation. So it was this page right here that she was unhappy with. And then it says, Mama said quietly. I marked that and asked, why is she quiet? So let's think about, what is this showing us about Mom's character trait? Miss Crocker says that she is indignant. The very idea that's all on the book, on all the books, and why they got upset. She got punished. Mama didn't reply, which makes Miss Crocker defensive. So as we're going through this, her tone was quiet and non-committal. Miss Crocker was not satisfied. So right here, we're starting to see a little bit of a difference in their reactions, or like seeing maybe some disagreement here. Then all of a sudden on page 29 it says, then she opened her desk drawer and pulled out some paper, a pair of scissors, and a small brown bottle. Miss Crocker is dismayed by the unconcern for the seriousness of the matter. So again, we're starting to see some differences in opinions. And remember, we're looking to compare how Miss Crocker reacts to how Mama reacts. Okay. Something Mama does is making Miss Crocker amazed. So she's amazed and confused by Mama's reaction. Mama doesn't answer, so she's ignoring her. Now let's go on to page 30 and kind of see what's going on there. So think about, what is Mama doing? And how does that show? So think about, what's Mom do in response? Definitely not what Miss Crocker does. Miss Crocker switches or like spanks them. Mama doesn't do that. Think about what Mama's actions are. And then I want you to think about, how does each woman react? And what does Mama's reaction show about her? What does she think or feel? When you're writing your claim, I want you to think about two things. Specifically, who does Mama agree with? And how do you know? And then also, what does Mama think? So make sure you're including those two things in your claim and then add in your text evidence. And that's all we're doing for our CTQ for today, but we are gonna start a character tracking sheet. We do have quite a few characters that show up in this story, and I wanna make sure that we are keeping them straight. So you'll see on the next page into the next, where it's got some blanks, we've got our character tracking sheet, and this is set up to where you can tear this out and keep it for yourself. This is not something you'll turn in or anything. This is just to help you keep track of the characters. At this time, I want you to pause the video and see how many descriptions can you add. Again, we haven't met all the characters yet, and that's okay, so you won't fill all of them in, and there is some open space left for you to add some more characters as we get to them. But I want you first to start by writing in as many descriptions as you can about these characters. What do we know that they like? What have we learned about them? And then we'll check that in just a minute. So at this time, pause the video, see how much you can do on your own. Go back in the book if you need to. Write down descriptions of the characters. Excellent. So team, as you went through, there were probably a few things that you've probably noticed. I want to start with Cassie because she is our narrator. So if we didn't write that down, let's make sure we've got that for sure. She is our narrator. She's a pretty young character. Doesn't give us an exact age that I remember, but she is pretty young. And she seems a little bit confused about the racist issues we've had. So she's a little bit confused about racism, it seems. We've also learned a lot about little man based off of what Miss Crocker just said. He's a pretty respectful little boy. We learned from the incident with his Sunday clothes, he does like to be clean, likes to keep himself neat. He's the youngest. He's the baby of the family. And he gets upset and angry because he's also confused by racism or by people acting in that way. We know Mama's a teacher. And I want you to add a description based off what we just read about her. How do you think she feels about her kids or about these social issues that are going on? That's all we're going to really talk through today, but I do want you to go ahead and add more to the other characters. I know, for instance, we've met TJ, we've met Stacy, so see what else you can add for those characters as well. This is kind of going to be just for you to update. We might come back to this occasionally together, but for the most part, this is for you to just kind of help keep track of the characters. As you learn new things, please update this. If you run out of room, you can just write it to the side or wherever you need to. If you have any questions, please comment below or contact your guided reading teacher. Talk to you guys later. Bye.